Good morning, everybody. This is Lara with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you're all looking forward to an awesome weekend. I'm here in Cornwall for 5 weeks and managed to buy a new surfboard, gone down from 8.5 foot to 8 foot. So I'm getting used to that. And the cold water, oh my goodness, it's so cold. I've only had one session so far, but hopefully we'll have some more surf this weekend, so I'll get that out and start to work on my paddle fitness, which I've lost with 6 months of no surf from Barbados. That was the last time I was on my surfboard, so really enjoying England, and I love England so much. I really love it. Not too keen on the cold water though. Someone asked me in comments, why am I looking for support about 55,000? This is how I look for support. Support at 55,000 is not strong. It's somewhat weak, but there is a little bit. And price is halting just a little bit above about 55,000. This is where I get it from. Back in 2021, this is your 55,000 line here. A little bit of resistance, breakthrough, tests of support here and here. Breached again, little tests along here. So about 55,000, a little bit above 55,000. That's where we're finding support. The next area below, a little bit more significant, 53,000, that was resistance in September 2021. A little bit below that, just about 51,000, bit of resistance here, and along here. So that's how I look for support and resistance. Look left. Bitcoin was in a long rectangle pattern for several weeks. It broke out a couple of days downward with a downward breakout, which does have push from volume, so we can have confidence in it. Rectangles, when they occur in the context of an upward trend, 2/3 of the time break out upward, 1/3 of the time will break out downward. So this is a lower probability outcome. I was expecting an upward breakout was most likely based on those odds. That's how probability works. But I did say if we get a downward breakout, look for support at 55,000. We're finding support a little bit above 55,000 so far. The last 2 completed sessions have bullish long lower wicks, and now I expect this is a back test of resistance at 60,700 before price may now move down and away after that breakout. On the way down, we'll look for support about 55,000. Below that, we'll look for support about 53,000, which is a little bit more significant than 55, and then we'll look for support about 51,000. I will wait for an obvious bullish reversal pattern, and then I'll wait to start to see some upward movement that has strength in order to expect that a low is in place for Bitcoin. While that hasn't happened at this stage, there is a downward trend in place. Assume that will remain the same until proven otherwise. I keep saying cryptocurrency lows are really hard to identify. That's because cryptocurrencies can be very weak off their lows. They don't always show bullish reversal patterns, and you don't always see an increase in volume, strength, or momentum until sometimes days or even weeks after they've found that low. So you have to be pretty patient and flexible with cryptos when you're trying to find a low. For the short term, volume is pushing price lower. The last completed upward session has weaker volume, so for the short term the volume profile remains bearish. For the short term there's a downward trend in place. I'll expect more downward movement as fairly likely. A couple of days ago, I said we had a bearish signal from on-balance volume, but that's been negated as on-balance volume returned back above the line, so I've had to adjust this purple support line. Sometimes that's how on-balance volume works. I had it sitting like this. We had a breakout, but now on-balance volume has moved back above, so adjust the support line again. That bearish signal is now negated, giving a little bit of doubt about how much more downward movement we're going to see. So look for support about 55,000. It could hold there. If it doesn't, 53,000. Below that, 51,000. 53,000 is a little bit stronger. ADX is telling us there's a downward trend, which is now just extreme, but it's got a long way to go before it gets as extreme as it can get for this market. RSI is not oversold, but it's getting kind of close. If we do see more downward movement and price reaches support and RSI reaches oversold, I will expect downward movement to end there. There's not that much room now before RSI does reach oversold. It doesn't tend to reach oversold very often on the daily time frame, and so when it does, it's usually associated with a sustained low. Money flows in neutral territory. This one really reaches oversold. And ATR overall declining as price has been moving lower, so not a lot of strength in this downward movement. A little bit of a push from volume, but volume overall still is lighter than it was a few weeks ago. The Elliott Wave count for Ethereum expects lower lows. The structure for the second wave correction, a zigzag was complete down here, but now with a new low below this point, the correction can't be complete here, it must continue lower. So at this stage, the only structure I can see that has a decent fit is a double zigzag. A, B, C, first zigzag in the double is labelled minuet W. The double is joined by a 3 in the opposite direction labelled X, and now the second zigzag, A, B, C, should move price lower. The purpose of a second zigzag in a double is to deepen the correction when the first zigzag does not move price deep enough. In order to achieve that purpose, the second zigzag should end reasonably beyond the end of the first. I will expect downward movement to find support at the lower edge of this Elliott channel, well, best fit channel actually. I've drawn it from the start of minute 2 to this high. I've placed a parallel copy in this low, found support here, fell short of resistance here. I will expect support here, and if we do see another touch of this trend line, I'll expect that could be where downward movement may end. Technicals for Ethereum, it's in really time-consuming pullback within the larger trend, which does remain up at higher time frames, particularly monthly. Within this downward trend, there's a hammer candlestick for the 1st of May. This is a bullish reversal pattern occurring around about support just a bit above 2,720. This would suggest that downward movement could be complete here, but so far for the last 2 following upward sessions, there's just no strength up off that low. So with no strength up off the low and a downward trend in place, assume the trend remains the same until proven otherwise. This hammer candlestick pattern may be just a short-term indication of a little consolidation before the short-term downward trend continues. For the short-term, volume is pushing price lower, but overall volume is declining as price moves overall lower. This looks like a large pullback within a larger bull market. It doesn't look like a new bear market. Downward movement doesn't have a good strong increase in volume and volatility. And that's what I'd expect to see if this is a bear market. ADX tells us at this time frame there is now a downward trend. It's a long way to go before it reaches extreme. There's a ways to go for Ethereum before RSI reaches oversold. So there's a room below for price to fall. Money flows are neutral as well, not oversold. Plenty of room below for price to fall before money flow reaches oversold. And overall, we see this overall decline in ATR as a measurement of volatility. If this was a bear market, this should be increasing along with volume. It's not. This looks like a counter trend movement within the larger bull market, but it may not be complete yet. The Elliott Wave count for XRP remains the same, and for this one I expect we may actually have a low in place for the 13th of April. There is a complete corrective structure for intermediate 2, a double combination. W is a zigzag, X, Y is a flat correction. Within a combination, the most common 2 structures in the double are 1 zigzag and 1 flat correction in either order. If intermediate 2 is complete there, then intermediate 3 within primary 3 within cycle 3 should have begun. This is an extremely bullish wave count for XRP. It expects an upward breakout out of the huge triangle it's been in for years with a third wave up. XRP now finding support about 49 cents, resistance still in the 54 to 55 cent area has been unable to be overcome and for price to stay above that. Overall, volume is still declining. There isn't a lot of strength up off lows for XRP, but when cryptos form lows, they don't often show strength until days or sometimes even weeks after that low. That's one of the features of cryptocurrencies that makes their lows really difficult to identify. On balance, volume has a neat little range for XRP. The resistance and support lines have low technical significance, but we can now start to draw some. I'll wait for a breakout for a signal. ADX tells us for XRP there is a downward trend. RSI, however, reached oversold on the 13th of April. Now this is one reason, along with a complete Elliott Wave structure, why I expect that the low actually may be in for XRP. RSI doesn't tend to get oversold very often at the daily time frame, and when it does, it's often associated with lows that are sustained. Money flow neutral. ATR declining as well as prices essentially moving sideways. Not a lot of strength up off that low, but again, that's the reason why cryptocurrency lows are really hard to identify. You've got to be pretty patient with them. That's it for me today with your update. Again, I hope you're all looking forward to a wonderful weekend.